And very good Saturday afternoon, folks. NTV Chief Meteorologist Eddie Shear here with you. And I just wanted to do a quick weather briefing as to what's going on out there right now in regard to our, I suppose, incoming area of low pressure, although it's kind of working through now. It's October 10th, 2015, and the time is just shy of 1:50 p.m. in the afternoon. Latest radar from across Atlantic Canada showing that we do have a heavy batch of rain working across the eastern side of the island right now and through the metro. And we also still have some rain across central and the west coast right now as well. And you can see what looks to be a bit of a swirl there just north of Corner Brook. That's probably the center of the low working through the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Now, as the low works its way north overnight, we will see the rain taper off across the island to showers, although onshore showers and even some flurries will develop along the west coast this afternoon. But things will clear out across a good chunk of the island this evening, although the winds are going to pick up. Into Labrador, well, certainly a bit of a different story there. So far as temperatures go, we are looking at teens across the island right now, looking at 8 degrees currently in Stephenville. Winds look like they're in the 35 knot range, which is pretty high, if I may say so myself. We can click on that and we'll see winds gusting up to 76 kilometers per hour in Stephenville right now with a temperature of 8 degrees. Tells me the cooler air is kind of wrapping in behind the low on the west coast now, and we can see what I want to show you now is you can see almost a circulation of the low as it's in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, because you have winds here going like this, and then north of that you have winds funneling like that. So that tells me the low is probably somewhere in here, and this is what I've been talking about for a couple of days. And that's going to usher in some cooler air to the west coast today, possibly even some flurries up into the long-range mountains, but I think just on shore it's just going to be predominantly showers of rain. And into Labrador, especially in the southeast, this is where we're going to be seeing snow developing this evening, although in Cartwright and Happy Valley Goose Bay, both of those areas are reporting rain at the moment. I don't think that's going to change much until this evening as the low goes by and colder air begins to wrap in from the west. So I'll talk all about that here in the next couple of minutes as I get a bit more technical with our weather discussion. But either way, the winds for most of us are going to begin to pick up here in the next little while. Environment Canada has issued wind warnings for most of Newfoundland's north coast and the northern peninsula. Winds in this area tonight and this afternoon will gust close to 110 kilometers per hour according to the wind warning text. Into Labrador, you can see the list right here. In the Cartwright to Black Tickle area, which is right there, a snowfall warning is in place. Same thing for the Eagle River area right there. Now there's also a wind warning in place for Cartwright to Black Tickle, and there is a wind warning in place as well from Red Bay and Lanse-Claire and Norman Bay to Lodge Bay, which are these two areas here where winds too this evening, especially and overnight, are going to gust over 100 kilometers per hour, perhaps even higher. Right in this area here, as it looks like that, you might see the peak winds kind of right on the border between Norman Bay to Lodge Bay and Cartwright to Black Tickle. So that's something you're certainly going to want to keep in mind if you're in that area, and it looks like the snowfall is going to be in the higher elevations of these areas this afternoon as well, right along the immediate coast. I think it might be a bit hard for it to snow. Check this out. This is infrared satellite imagery, and what you can see here, and I'll actually pause this because it makes it a little easier to see. Let's see if I can stop that right there. You can't really see the low on this image, but what you can see is this right here, which actually extends up like that. That is called a baroclinic leaf, and that is indicative of an area of low pressure that's going to be undergoing some strong development, which it is, and it's sitting right there. So we've got the kind of drier air punching in here, east of the low, and then the cooler air kind of wrapping in like that behind the low, and that low is going to track almost like this over the next 24 hours before it then begins to pull away. So that's kind of the setup, if you can follow what I was just talking about. Now we'll get into the computer model data a little bit. So if you watched the news yesterday, I was showing these images. These are from WeatherBell. This is the GFS model. I think this model has a pretty good handle as to what's going on based on the current observations. So this is the model forecast for 2:30 this afternoon today. And there is the low right there, just kind of in the Strait of Belle Isle or over the northern peninsula. We are seeing rain on the island, and we are seeing some light snow across most of Labrador. Now this area here is fairly remote, but this is the Eagle River area, and this area are probably going to pick up the most snow today because it's higher elevated and you're not getting the marine influence. Now right on the immediate coast, what we are going to see is cool temperatures because winds are onshore, but the ocean temperatures are still warm enough that I think right along the coast it's going to have a hard time snowing until the low kind of begins to pull away tonight. And I'll show you why here in a second. So here is the next image. This is the model forecast for 9:30 this evening. That low is really deepened now into the Labrador Sea, or just north of Newfoundland, 968 millibars. And what you can see is the snow on the back side of the low. There is certainly going to be a heavy band of snow. Now, most of this area is fairly remote. So most of the places in Labrador that see snow are very, very remote areas. Now, right along the immediate coast, what's going to happen is it's going to get cold as the low pulls away, and it's going to get very windy as well. But the winds, even tonight, or I should say this evening, are still going to be onshore, almost like that. So what happens is, even though it's cold enough to snow for most levels of the atmosphere, right down at the very, very surface, you're getting this marine influence, which is going to keep the precipitation mainly in the form of rain, or rain mixed with wet snowflakes. Until you get just inland or in the higher elevations, probably above 100 or 125 meters, that's where it certainly will be snowing this afternoon. Now watch what happens as we jump ahead 6 more hours now. This is 2:30 in the morning. All this area has become snow right along the immediate coast, and the biggest reason for that is this: the winds, which were from the north earlier, and remember that's onshore, they now become westerly, which is offshore. So all the marine air gets blown back out to sea, and that snow level comes crashing down. But that will not happen more than likely until after 9 o'clock this evening, as the low begins to pull away and as the precipitation type changes over to snow. Now, I don't think it's going to snow for that long, because as we jump ahead 6 more hours now, we are just left with some flurries, and that heavy snow band has moved offshore. Now, this computer model isn't showing a whole lot of snow in the low elevations. You can see right along the immediate coast here, which is where a lot of the communities are, it's showing, an inch or a couple of centimeters. Inland, that's where we're seeing those pockets of 30 centimeters or 15 or 30 centimeters into the Eagle River area. But again, that is inland in the higher elevations. Right along the coast, it predominantly probably will just rain as we go into this afternoon, changing over to a little bit of snow tonight. And also the model is showing some snow probably later today or overnight into the higher elevations of Newfoundland's west coast in the long-range mountains. That's all that's showing. I don't think the lower areas are going to see any rain or snow today, although tomorrow a little trough moves through, which could be a wet snowflake mix for interior Newfoundland in the higher elevations, or maybe even areas like Grand Falls, Windsor, or Gander may see some flurries tomorrow morning, but I'm not sold on that. But either way, that's not going to be a big deal. What the big deal is the low moving through right now. And also the wind, which is really going to begin to crank, especially this afternoon. These are the forecast wind gusts from the model, and you can see we're probably in these are in the 30 to 40 knot range, which is 60, 70 kilometers an hour, maybe 80 kilometers an hour. But watch what happens as we go into this evening. This is 2:30 in the morning. Very strong gusts right along that immediate coast of Labrador. That's showing close to 60 knots or higher, so that's well over 100 kilometers per hour, 100, 110, maybe even 115. And across the island, we are seeing those strong winds as well, especially right along the north coast in the 50 knot range, which again is close to 100 kilometers per hour. That's why the wind warning is in place there. I think that's well warranted. And it looks like as we go into early Sunday morning, which is 9:30 Sunday morning now, we are still seeing the gusty winds, but they're not as strong. And it looks like by the afternoon, the winds do begin to back off as our low pulls away. So I hope that gives you a good idea as to what we can expect for the next, 24 hours or so. Have a great day, and thank you for watching.